Okay, back again, second race of the day. We are in Redlands, California. Beautiful sunny day. This is the 45 plus and the 55 plus combined. I want to say there was like maybe 30 guys total, maybe 40. Not a huge field. Um, right away from the gun, there was almost on the first lap there was John Garbo and Espen Caritas broke away. Espen is on stage two, and John Garbo's on Go Fast. Stage two had like, I don't know, 7 or 8 guys in the race. Go Fast had just two, Dustin and Pat Caro, but they were blocking. Um, but they were both 45 plus, so Bart and I were racing 55 plus today. Danny Rondon, there's to my left in the white jersey on Evoque. There's Johnny Lance right in front of me. They were both racing the 45, so um, yeah, we were kind of torn between, trying to bring them back, but their gap got so big so quick, and Pat Caro and the stage two guys were doing such a good job of blocking that um, we we weren't really able to bring him back. I thought Kevin Phillips and his teammate right there in front of us, I thought that they would bring it back because, Kevin's been just tearing it up lately. And we also had Ben Sharp, who is rides for stages out of Colorado, and he's always strong. And I thought for sure that between the two of those guys, they would bring it back for the 45 plus. And Ryan Doris in front of us there also. It's that nobody was really motivated to bring those guys back. So um, in the 55 plus, we had Alan Flores from Creative Blue. Uh, they I didn't know who else was in there from the 55, so we weren't really sure. But we just figured that at this point, we're not going to let anything else get away. So we were just riding. We were just controlling the race pretty much, for the 55 finish. Which my plan was to lead out Bart, and we could go 1-2, and hopefully there was a couple of times where Scott Cochran got off in a break, Patrick Fetzer got off in a break, and of course we were letting them go because they were racing for the 45, and if they could get on the podium if they could get away, but um, the field was chasing down everything. So at this point, we kind of knew that all we had to do was just keep it together because pretty much the last 5 laps, Ben Sharp rode on the front, just rode on the front and kept the pace fast and safe. And that was actually perfect for us. I kind of feel like he was just riding for training versus trying to get a placing. Um, Two-place field preem. I think it was like $70 two-place field preem. So yeah, I had no motivation to go for that. This guy comes up next to me and just like goes right across my front wheel. Kind of pissed me off. It's like, what are you doing, dude? So I just go right back around him. Um, kind of wanted to stay towards the front because my goal was to do a lead out for Bart just like I did in the 40 plus because once you come around this corner, it's mostly downhill. The only problem was it was a really stiff headwind, so it wasn't going to be quite as easy as it was in the 40 plus race earlier. The pace stayed pretty high and steady, which is kind of nice. I prefer that. So I got Danny and Scott in front of me, and Bart's just in front of them. He's marking Kevin Phillips. Kevin Phillips is definitely the man to beat in the sprint. And Pat Caro was also on the front. And the way they were taking these turns is they would just kind of cover the inside and then they would swing out. So kind of anticipated that a little bit. That eliminated anybody dive bombing on the inside. There's a couple guys sprinted for that preem. I think I recorded like the last 15 minutes of this race. So we're probably coming up on lap cards here pretty quick. This race was a little bit slower. It was 26 miles an hour average because, like I said, the winds were really picked up on this stretch, which this is usually the faster section because you flow through these corners and it's a slight downhill. So the pace ended up staying 30 plus in the first race, and that's what kept our average speed so high. And then the start finish line was a tailwind, but it's still uphill. But I mean, we were still doing 20, 28, 29 a lot of the times up that false flat. This was the same finish stretch as the pro race as well. There was a gap here, so I had to kind of get on a little bit because people were letting gaps open. There's Bart in his state champ skin suit. That's Danny Rondon right in front of me. He's my friend and teammate from Visalia. We drove down together. We also race on a team up north called cyclesport.com. That's our main team because we're both NorCal riders. But we guest ride for Evoke because we go our loyalty and we go pretty deep with Evoke. Raced with them for quite a few years and raced with Bart for quite a few years. So um, it just paid to be on a NorCal team up north because then we get the team points and the bar points for the NorCal series, which hasn't had very many races this year. The reason that we're even in Redlands today is because the Lodi Cycle Fest canceled their race on Friday, and the race was on Sunday. So all of a sudden, we were left without a race. We had already pre-registered, so since we knew the team was going to be down here, we decided to come down south and come join this race, which I'm really glad we did because if you haven't done this race is just amazing. The crowds and the atmosphere is electric. It's a downtown criterium, which there aren't very many left in California. Um, Really fun technical course, very dynamic. Um, it can be a breakaway course, it can be a sprinter's course. It just all depends on the strength of your team. If you have a team that can control the race, then you're going to have a really good chance at a sprint. If you don't, like in this case, there was a two-man break got away and rolled up the road, and they were gone. So the 40, 45 plus guys are racing for third place. Bart and I are racing for first and second. So we're like exactly where we want to be. That's the only downside of racing with combined fields like that is you don't just race for the win. You're racing for who you think is in your category. So sometimes it makes for negative racing. I just figured I'd stay right on Bart's wheel and just protect his wheel. And then on Bell Lap, I'll just pop around him and then do a lead out. Didn't quite end up working out that way. This turn ended up being a little bit of a cluster, and I got boxed in, and Bart slid through and made it right up to the front, right behind Kevin. And spoiler alert, he ends up coming through. Kevin takes the turn really hot, and Bart slides up underneath him, and then he beats him in the sprint. And yeah, I pull out of my pedal coming out of the last turn and almost crashed, but I still had enough gap to get second place. But you know, that's coming up. You'll see. There's Aaron Levin. He comes down from Seattle to race with us. Um, he's on the Davis Finney team. Should be coming up on laps here. I want to say there's 2 to go. And yeah, that's Aaron coming up on our side there, but I'm not going to let anybody take Bart's wheel. You could see me kind of move to the left a little bit. Bart does let Rob Campila go in front of him because Rob's a good wheel and he's a large body and he makes a really good draft. So, and I'm just going to stay right on Bart's wheel here because we're going into Bell Lap. Yeah, Bart looks back and sees that I'm there. We do communicate with each other quite a bit, and I just let him know that I'll come around him and do the lead out as soon as we get to the top. So I'm protecting the inside here. Bart was sort of protecting the outside, and we're in a really good spot because all the guys in front of us are 45s. But we still want to win we kind of want to win the pack sprint outright because it's just, you know, it's more impressive that way than just sitting behind all the 45s. So here we are going into Bell Lap, and it's pretty strung out. Ben Sharp's still in the front. Just keeping it fast and safe. You'll see Bart kind of sprint up the side here just to protect, not let people come around him on the outside. Because there was a wave of riders coming around us on the left, and he wanted to make sure that we kind of shut that down before the turn. So he swings out wide, and then I go inside, and I was going to try to get in front, but Bart was on my left, and then Patrick takes him right up to the front. So that was perfect. And then Ryan Doris comes on my inside here. So now I'm kind of stuck. And then Rob comes by me, and yeah, Aaron gets pushed wide a little bit here, so I get around him, and then and Rob lets a gap open, so I've got to get around him to close that gap. And these guys are like going full gas now. Kevin's leading out Bart, and there's Patrick. He's done with his lead out. So my goal was to just float right through here, take this turn, and then use my momentum and sprint up. And then right here I hit a pothole and pull out of my pedal and almost crashed. But I still had enough momentum. You could see Bart comes around Kevin and gets first place, and then I get second. And there's third place in the 55s right there.